Hey guys, Jason from the Glitter Guy here. Today we're going over the December Quack Pack craft, which is a hot chocolate mug with chocolate drip around the top. There's a couple options in the box with different decals, so I used half of the options, and the one that we're going to make during the tutorial, I'm going to use the other options so that you can see the different ways that we can make a really cool holiday cozy hot cocoa mug. So first, let's go over the things that we're gonna need. A lot of the important stuff came in the box. So you have your mug in the box. The decals, there were two options. I used the hot cocoa and warm wishes one on my first, and then I'm gonna do the recipe one on the one that we're gonna do in the tutorial. Also, you have your little candy clays for the top. I used them on this one. I'm gonna opt out on this guy because I decided that what I'm gonna do is actually add some of the hot cocoa fusion glitter to the chocolate drips on my second one. I think it's gonna have a different kind of look. So we're gonna go for that. Also, the tulip puffy paint, slick paint, that's what I use for my drips. This is actually the first time that I did a drip with the paint, and it was the easiest thing I've ever done. So I'm excited to show you guys that. It's very easy, and I think it looks awesome. That comes in a box. And then also the glitters. First, I used cheesecake, which comes in the box. That's what the new glitter. That's on this tumbler. It looks really awesome. It's got like a pink and yellowish almost hue to it, and the shimmer is just like really awesome. So the other option is our already popular glitter, Rainbow Ice. It's one of my favorites, and that's the glitter that I'm going to use to coat the one that we're going to do in the tutorial. So once again, you'll get to see a couple different looks. Some things that you'll need that are not in the box and that you might not need but can help make the craft go by a little bit easier. First, I have a tumbler shield from Tumbler Shields. These things are so convenient for spray painting your tumblers. If you can see the white still left over from the other one I did. Fits super great right inside the top of the mug. Press it down in, and you're not going to have any worries about paint on the inside that you have to go back and clean with acetone or anything like that. So that's number one. Two is the grip that we're going to use, which is the tumbler grip. That is because it goes with my super awesome, not even mine, Sarah's actually, magnetic cup turner. So this is a magnetic arm. You can check out the tumbler grip for those cup turners. They're really great. I love ours, so I use it all the time. That's what we're going to use to spray paint. So now we're all set up for that. Before we spray paint, we're going to want to sand and prep our tumbler. So some sandpaper you're definitely going to need. And then after we're sandpapered up and we get it painted, that's when we're going to apply the glitter. There's a couple different ways that we can apply it. You can use the epoxy method. You can use Mod Podge. I personally like doing Mod Podge. I think you get a nice full coat. First try, no warm-ups. That's my favorite part about it. So that's what I'm going to use to apply the glitter. And then lastly, of course, we need an epoxy. I chose this time. This one is Alumilite's Quick Coat. That's what I'm going to use for our first coat of epoxy after we get the glitter on. And then we're going to do our drips, apply our decal, and do a final coat of epoxy. I won't use a fast set for that, or a quick cast, or whatever you want to call them, depending on the company. I'm going to use a standard cure epoxy for our final coat. And that's pretty much it. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to sand. I just have, I don't even know what grit this is, but it doesn't need to be anything super abrasive, just enough to make sure that you're scratching your surface enough that your paint's going to adhere nicely. So, properly prepped surface is key. The handle as well. Do not forget the handle, the underside. Normally we have sanding blocks that we use a lot of times, but I chose to use a strip of paper just because it makes it a lot easier to get around that handle. All right, don't forget the bottom. Make sure you get it nice and scratched up. When you paint your tumbler, you always want to do a base coat. Doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be white. It's white glitter. I want this to be, you know, like very much on the white side. Rainbow Ice is a hacked glitter, so if you did a color, honestly, that color would show through, and this would just enhance it. Now I'm thinking last minute, I'm gonna change up the spray paint we're gonna use, and we're gonna use a light blue instead. Use a light blue, right? And then we'll put Rainbow Ice on top. So that will also help you guys see what hacked glitter can do. So let's get this paint and our tumbler outside, because I get in trouble when I paint indoors. All right, off to painting we go. We want nice, even strokes. Don't hold down the trigger. That's how you get drips. Little bursts. Keep it like 6 to 8 inches away. This is Rust-Oleum Satin Seaside is this color. So this was a last minute decision. I'm just kind of sitting out on the table, just trying to make sure that I get back side of my handle. All right, no drips, nice even coat. We'll let that dry, and then we'll get on to glittering. All right, so we are done letting our spray paint dry. Once again, we used Rust-Oleum Satin Seaside. That was a last-minute decision, like I said previously, and I'm excited to see how it comes out. So, like I had also mentioned, you can apply glitter in multiple ways. I personally like doing Mod Podge. I just think that you get much more thorough, even coats. So we just want to take a nice wide brush, cover as much surface as we can as quickly as possible. It'll work relatively quickly with Mod Podge, much quicker than epoxy. Epoxy, you have so much time, you know, before it starts curing. This is just a little bit quicker of a time that you gotta just keep on moving. Nice even coat across the whole thing. Don't miss the bottom. Make sure that's all nice and coated. Make sure you get all around your handle. Any of them thicker white spots, that's just where there's extra glue buildup. Go back over it, spread it out. Nice even coat, so we don't end up with like chunks of glitter. Scoop this to the side, put my brush in some water. And Rainbow Ice, that is what we're using here. My little foil cap out over our sketch paper. So nice thick, even coat. Let all the excess fall away onto the plate. Make sure we're getting our handle. Handle's definitely the biggest pain in the foot. Don't forget the bottom. Right, let's tap the extra. Sit it in my nice little tumbler grip stand for the moment. Collect all of our glitter so we can get it back in our shaker and go back over any spots that we might have missed. I know definitely my handle still needs a bit. Handle, be nice to me. The handle, I will probably hit with another coat of Mod Podge after this dries. This probably takes about another 20 minutes. And then you're safe to go and apply your epoxy as long as you have a coat that you're happy with. I think this isn't so bad. I will likely, there's a couple little spots on my sides here that could use a little bit more. But like I said, I'll add a little bit more Mod Podge to those areas. Honestly, I can probably do that. Let's just hit those spots. Much better. I'm gonna let this dry for like 20 minutes or so, and then we will be back to apply some epoxy. So we have our tumbler glittered. The Mod Podge had some time to set up, so shouldn't really need to seal it before we epoxy. But if you'd like to, you can always spray seal it or do another coat of Mod Podge on top. Since it's just one color, I don't think we really need to do that. We're at our tumbler grip turner here. Magnetic arms are super awesome and convenient. I can just sit it right on like that. Like I said, I'm using quick coat epoxy this time, just because I want this layer to cure as fast as possible so that we can apply our decal and do our drips. Make sure you're getting accurate measurements and make sure you're definitely using part A and part B. You're not confusing the two. My green stir stick that came in the sub box. You want to avoid mixing too fast. You don't want to put too many bubbles into it. This is going to be a thinner coat and it's not the final coat. And we're going to use a torch to pop the bubbles too, so it can be a little bit forgiving. You just want to make sure that you get it nice and mixed. You want both parts. Just make sure you get nice coats on there. We still have our tumbler shield on. That's going to help us keep the epoxy from getting inside the cup and having to scrape. Once you got a good amount on there, start spreading it out. I save my handle for last. That way the rest of the cup can start self-leveling while I'm messing around with that handle. And make sure if you put a bunch in an area, you can scoop it back in your cup for now. Get all the way up to the edge though. All around your handle. Any of these little micro bubbles we're going to get rid of with the torch. Drag the excess down towards the bottom. I am messy when I epoxy. Go back and wherever it looks like I have a whole bunch, kind of want to pull it away, get it off there. Because if you have too much, it's not going to self-level. I have a lot of bubbles, a bubble butt. You see with the rainbow ice, after you applied the epoxy, that whiteness just went away. Now that rainbow shimmer stays, makes it look like you had like glittery spray paint almost. Your tumbler shield, after like 40 minutes, you can go and peel that off. Don't get too close, you don't want to torch the epoxy. We're just popping the micro bubbles. And this also helps a little bit with the self-leveling. Instead, it gives the epoxy a little bit of movement, so you will find any spots that you might have pulled a little too much epoxy, it'll kind of start creating drips. I can even see around the rim, it's starting to run a little bit. And when it builds up enough, it'll start dripping off. I'm just gonna monitor it a little bit while it's running and dripping, and where I see the excess, I'll go back, put another glove on and just scoop that little bit off. All right guys, so we're back. It's been like 4 or 5 hours since we did our quick coat on the tumbler. It's ready now. There was a small epoxy lip at the top, so very handy. The Scotty peeler that came in your Quack pack. I already went through and trimmed it a bunch, but just be very careful because they're super, super sharp. You just want to like get a lot of that rim off of there, the extra buildup. Doesn't have to be perfect on this because fortunately we are going to have our chocolate drip up there. So I just made sure, especially to just clean the top, make sure there was no epoxy around the top, get that back down to the stainless. There's still a little bit of a rim here, but I think that'll actually help with the aesthetic a little bit for the chocolate drip. Before we do our drip, we're going to put our decal on. One thing I'm going to do is I am going to put some Windex or window cleaner spray when I go apply the decal. I actually had done a live a couple months ago, and it was one of those things where I know the cheat or like the trick, and I thought I was better than it, and that was not true. No matter how big or small, I use Windex now. I just don't, there's no reason not to. Also, it's helpful after you Windex it, it helps you. You can keep repositioning it if you don't have it perfectly straight, so you don't have to keep trying to peel it up. And you use your little silicone brush and you can squeegee out the excess after. So we're going to just spray the surface, get it nice and wet, peel our decal, get it on there. See the slide, so I can make sure I get it somewhere I'm pleased with. Set it a little bit low, just because of the chocolate drips. It's helpful too if you had a couple of relief slits so that you can get it to lay flat, just because the mugs don't have as much of a flat surface area to apply the decals, so get a little tricky with wrinkles sometimes. Get that up to lay flat. So use your silicone brush. Push the moisture out. The relief cuts and the Windex are definitely very helpful. So here's the decal, all applied. Looks good. Now we're going to get into adding our chocolate drips. So very easy. You just take your Tulip Slick Puffy paint. This is just brown. This came in the Quack pack. And just go around the top and go around the edge and just squeeze a little bit harder in some spots than others. That way your drips can kind of flow at different paces. It's a little thinner in spots. I'm just squeezing a little bit harder, like I said, in some areas. Make sure you're starting that paint all the way up at the top at the edge. All right. That down, and then we just tip chocolate drips, just like that. If you want a little more, you can add a little more paint and keep tapping. I like it when it has just a little bit of a drip like that. So this is where you have a choice. You could do multiple things. This first one, I did the candy clays that come in the sub box. You can apply them sporadically. You can put a whole bunch on there. A lot of people like to take the tweezers, which also came in the sub box, and you can apply them. I do not have the patience for that. I cut open my bag and I just like threw them at it. So that's why mine is very random. What I chose that I'm going to do for this guy, so let me just get sketch paper, and I'm going to take the Hot Cocoa Fusion Glitter that came in the sub box, and then I'm going to add right to the wet paint. Right. Tap the excess off. Any of the glitter that's up here, we can always wipe that away after the paint dries. It has nothing that's going to make it stick there, and I just don't want to mess with my paint drips. So I'm not going to get it all perfectly clean until the paint dries. That's it. It takes about, if you read the bottle, it takes roughly 4 hours for this to dry. I know that is true too, because that's how long it took for this one to dry. And then the last step is, if you're happy with this and don't want to add any candies or anything to it, you can add someone's name to the back, your own name. And then one more coat of epoxy. And we went over that step. So I hope you guys enjoy this craft and in this sub box. I'm super excited for it, and I love that you can do it in multiple different ways. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more crafts, and also if you're interested in crafts like this, to keep up that subscription of your Quack Pack, because we're really excited for what's to come in 2023.